In a heartfelt journey of love, self-discovery, and heartbreaking transformation, a man faces the unexpected revelation that his wife, the love of his life for a decade, is no longer attracted to him and has come to terms with her sexuality as a lesbian. Despite this profound change, she expresses a desire to stay together, albeit without the intimacy they once shared. Over the course of their relationship, they navigated complex dynamics, including an open exploration of her attraction to other women, but now their future seems uncertain.
My wife just came out to me and no longer finds me attractive. But instead of ending our relationship and wasting 10 years together, she still wants to stay with me. We've been together for 10 years, married for 4. She was and still is the love of my life, and the thought of living life without her is unbearable. Yesterday morning, I woke up and noticed her sitting on the patio crying, so I obviously went to console her and figure out what was wrong. While fighting back tears, she managed to tell me that she's a lesbian and she's so sorry that she isn't attracted to me anymore, but she also doesn't want to leave me. I've always known she was into women as well, but it was never an issue for me. We've had quite a few experiences with a third in the bedroom with many different women over the years, and they've all been amazing. I've even been fine with her exploring that side of herself with other women without me. I just wanted her to be happy and fulfilled. The entire day was spent either crying or talking about our now uncertain future. All the plans we had made, buying a home, traveling, getting dogs and cats, retirement, went up in smoke. We had a fantastic intimate life up until just a few days ago. We would have intimacy at least a few times a week, and we rarely failed to get each other off. We experimented and grew with each other over the years, exploring new kinks and figuring out new ways to please one another. I told her I didn't blame her, that if she really is a lesbian, it's not her fault and she hasn't really done anything wrong. But that doesn't make it hurt any less. She's my best friend. We had such a wonderful, supportive relationship, and we've been through so damn much together. I can't stand the thought of losing her and starting over. She said she doesn't want to leave me, that she still wants a future with me just without the intimacy, but she also understands how unfair that is to me, so she's fine with me finding intimacy buddy or two if I want it. All I really want is her though. I'm so insanely attracted to her, and I make sure to tell her so every day. She's the hottest woman in the world to me. But finding out that attraction is one-sided has obviously shattered my heart and crippled my self-esteem. I don't know what to do. I'm certain most of the comments I get will be along the lines of move on or the classic lawyer up, start hitting the gym, but I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that. I'm praying she's going to wake up and realize she made a mistake, that she's just overwhelmed and confused. Deep down I know that's not how this works, but the wounds are still so fresh that I'm grasping at any little straws of hope I can find. We don't have any kids. All our pets have passed away, but we did just move into a new house last week, so we may be stuck together until at least next March. I just want my wife back. You're going to have to eventually leave. It's too much of a burden to live with. Can you imagine every day being so close to someone you love like that and being unable to be with them not just intimately, but in every way? Can you imagine listening to or get off with someone else? It was hot when you were doing it as an activity together, but it'll be different going forward. Right now you might be against hearing any advice to move on, and that's fine, but it's a special kind of hell you're about to enter. You won't even begin to heal until you've had a clean break and some time to process everything. My brother's brother, his dad, and another woman's kid killed himself over something very close to what you're describing. It seems like just yesterday I was mentally formulating a 1-year update for this situation, and here we are at the 2-year mark. Crazy. This won't be juicy or drama-filled. No big revelations or tea to be sipped. Sorry to disappoint. 2 years ago, on one seemingly random Sunday morning, my wife and partner of a decade chose to inform me that she had come to terms with her sexuality. She was gay. I thought I had known heartbreak, seeing as how my first girlfriend went to visit her home country and never came back. Instead, she got married and had many children. Right up until that random Sunday morning, that was the worst thing I had gone through. The hardest situation I had been forced to endure. Hearing those words come out of my wife's mouth, my entire reality unraveled in what seemed like both an instant and an eternity. I fought for 2 months to come up with some way for us to remain together. Any compromise, any idea, any situation, I would have done literally anything to keep her. Grief really can override any and all inherent reason or logic. One may have. I now know we were doomed from the start, but I obviously refused to believe it. She officially ended it in May of 2023. The entire nightmare was amplified by the devastating cancer diagnosis diagnosis my stepfather had been given, which I was informed of just 2 or 3 days after my wife's admission. I want to highlight more about my stepdad in this update because he was truly an incredible, accomplished, kind, and hilarious man. His name was Norman Armour. He was an artist, actor, director, producer, and founder of the POOSH Festival, an annual international performing arts festival in Vancouver which just celebrated its 20th anniversary. He acted in some fairly big projects too. He played the officiant in Saving Silverman with Jason Biggs, Jack Black, and Steve Zahn. He played the main villain in an episode of Supernatural, the ghost of an evil insane asylum doctor. And he played a literary enthusiast in Capote and got to share the screen with Philip Seymour Hoffman regarding that last role. I remember being a teenager and watching a lot of Conan O'Brien's Late Show one particular night. The guest was none other than Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was promoting Capote at the time. If you're unfamiliar with the talk show formula, actors bring in clips of their latest project to promote it, and the scene he brought was Norman's scene. Norman had a monologue for maybe a minute, and then Capote responds, "I lost my mind. I wasn't even aware he had acted in Capote." And there he was on my TV at 1 a.m. on The Late Show with Conan. He was so humble and worked in so many fields that he didn't even feel the need to brag about acting in Capote. Or maybe he just forgot to tell me he passed away in November of 2023. His celebration of life was held at the Vancouver Playhouse, a nearly 700-seat venue. There wasn't an empty seat. Not only were nearly 700 people in attendance, it was live-streamed to countless more. We should all be so lucky as to have that sort of turnout for our final send-off. My ex, her parents, and my current girlfriend were all in attendance. Now back to myself. Shortly after Norman's passing, I matched with someone on an unnamed dating app who became my savior, my partner, my everything. At the time, I was in the worst place in my life, still suffering from grief, depression, newfound anxieties, nightmares, and severe loneliness. I still had good friends and a wonderful family, but things were so up and down that I had been toying with the idea of ending it all. She changed all that she was and is everything I thought my ex was. But for real, she is caring, compassionate, emotionally mature, honest, empathetic, way smarter than me, successful, incredibly talented, funny, and we genuinely enjoy every moment we get together. We inspire each other, we communicate, we have each other's backs. During the early weeks of everything happening, I was still working for a small glass fabrication company, but with everything going on, I was clearly not myself. And my asshat of a boss made it clear he didn't care what I was going through. He wanted me to show up, work my ass off, and also train a team of new hires. I could barely get through a shift without crying, and he expected me to train these teenagers, one of whom barely spoke English. On top of that, I was still dealing with the ramifications of a devastating workplace injury where my foot had been crushed by a literal ton of glass a year prior. For broken bones, nerve, and tendon damage. 6 months off work, I basically had to relearn how to walk, but that's a whole different story. I ended up quitting that crap show and went 3 months without employment until, through some good friends, I was able to score an interview for guitar quality control at a large music retailer. A dream job. I'm fairly lucky in the sense that I've never interviewed for a job and not gotten it. And I got this one too. It was great, but it didn't pay quite enough. So after 6 months, I took a risk and transferred to a different location for a bit more money, a shorter commute, and the position of shipper-receiver. I regretted it almost immediately. Guitar QC was the chillest, most incredible job I had ever had. I almost couldn't believe they were paying me to do it, but being a shipper-receiver was god-awful. There were good days and bad, but the bad ones were terrible. I was kicking myself daily for taking this job until this location's guitar technician decided to quit. I immediately threw my name in the hat, and once again I nailed the interview for the position, which I got. I've been doing this since November. It's a dream come true. I have my own office. I get to fix guitars, basses, banjos, mandolins, and ukuleles all day, every day, and I have to constantly pinch myself to make sure it's all real. It vindicated my decision to swap locations. The universe put me through the ringer and finally decided to cut me a break. I moved in with my new partner earlier this week. It was really emotionally heavy to go through the last house and clear out all my stuff. Wandering through it, I relived every traumatic moment with my ex like it was an instant replay. Parts of it still haunt me, but not having to live in that space anymore has already done wonders for my overall mental health. So that's basically it. I went from by far the lowest point in my life to the highest in a span of 2 years. I love my relationship. I love my job. I'm going to Vegas next week with my best friend and his groomsmen, and later this year I get to be best man at his wedding. My ex and I are still on good terms. I occasionally catch myself thinking hateful thoughts about her, but really try to suppress them because I don't enjoy enjoy feeling hateful. I want her to have a happy, fulfilling life. In my last update, I mentioned starting a YouTube channel with a buddy that unfortunately didn't end up going anywhere. But I have 2 new ones with my girlfriend that are already more popular. Not mentioning their names though. Oh, there was also the nice little bonus of a $31,000 settlement from that work injury, which I finally received in January. That has eased a lot of the financial burden that comes with living in Vancouver. To everyone who contacted me with kind words, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I still receive messages about it to this day, and I'm sorry that I can't respond to them all. To the minority that sent hateful stuff, please seek therapy or some sort of help. I couldn't fathom sending hateful messages to literally anyone, let alone someone already down, and